Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of DIFC Unplugged. My name is Asfar Saeed. I lead channel partnerships at the DIFC Authority, and with me here today is Sean Breslin, the Head of Europe and Middle East at Cone Marshall, a global trust and corporate services provider with offices in 15 countries and 17 offices across the globe. We're very interested in knowing what key differences do you see in private wealth behavior in Dubai and all the other regions that your firm operates in?
Cone Marshall set up in the DIFC 2 years ago. We've had a very good experience with DIFC, and it's become a very key factor within our global presence. We're now present in 15 different countries, so we work very symbiotically between those 15 countries to service our clients. So we do see aspects of regulation throughout the world, and I think we are in a quite unique position to be able to see the differences and the advantages and the disadvantages. We certainly noticed that DIFC has been very proactive and very avant-gardiste in trying to attract wealthy families, attract good companies, international companies like Cone Marshall, attract banks, attract hedge funds. The regulation is definitely world-class compared to the other jurisdictions we work with. I would say regulation is becoming more and more standardized. It's become more and more of a global affair. But what makes a difference is the help that DIFC really offered us in setting up in the DIFC. It was really proactive and not reactive.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned the rules and regulations. We would be very interested in knowing how are laws and regulations shaping trust and succession planning today, as opposed to the other jurisdictions we operate in.
Regulation is an integral part because it links back to reputation. Reputation is fundamental to all of our clients. So where we set up and where we structure these clients is vital, okay? There's a lot of media attention, especially to ultra high net worth clients. Their reputation is fragile. Information circulates rapidly in a very dynamic world that's based on internet and ChatGPT. There can be a lot of misinterpretation. So choosing the right jurisdiction from a reputational point of view makes a lot of sense. DIFC is at the forefront of that. Over the past few years, they've really scaled up their regulation, and it's proving attractive, and I think that's proved by the numbers of people that are coming to Dubai, that are attracted to Dubai. We're seeing some of the biggest banks, some of the biggest hedge funds are set up in Dubai now. And this is really why Dubai is so competitive on a globally competitive market.
But it's interesting how these investors that are coming, the high network individuals, the family offices, the family businesses that are coming in, they're picking up a lot of digital assets, and then they're investing in Fintech. Is that changing the way you're advising your private clients?
In several different dimensions. First of all, you mentioned Fintech. I mean, AI would become fairly prominent in all of our lives in the past year, maybe 2 years. So it's really changed the dynamic and the access to information people have. So that is one aspect. So referring back to reputational risk, information is much more prevalent and easily accessible. Then from an operational perspective, Fintech is helping our company, but also all companies become much more efficient. Okay, so processes, tasks, etc., can be automated a lot more easily.
Right.
Financial accounting, bookkeeping, these kind of things, everything is becoming much more automated. And then our clients are becoming more invested into crypto assets, crypto tokens. And this is something we cannot ignore. It used to be something that was quite peripheral and quite, unique before, and probably more focused by younger generations, whereas now all generations are getting involved. All investment managers are becoming used to being crypto savvy and investing that, perhaps, a small portion of the portfolio, maybe 3% of a portfolio might be invested in crypto assets. This affects us in particular as trustee because, of course, we're responsible for the families and their assets and the growth of those assets. So we don't manage the assets directly, but we're still responsible if an asset value goes from 100% to 0% overnight. So we do factor that into how we structure it and how we take responsibility and the custodians that we use to hold the crypto assets and the risk management that's in place. So those are multiple dimensions on how new technology is shaping our industry.
Well, begs the question of confidentiality. How do you balance, how's Cole Marshall balancing the ever-growing compliance requirements?
We've been in business for over 25 years. Fortunately for us, a lot of the relationships we have are very long-term relationships. So we know our clients very well. We know their family very well. We know their backgrounds. We know their source of funds. So compliance per se is not a challenge for us. What can be a challenge is moving goalposts for people that require us to provide them with compliance. So there can be very different standards, unfortunately, in the industry, and we have to adapt to that. And some will go overboard and ask the wrong questions, which can slow things down. Others perhaps might be easier, more streamlined to our way of working. So compliance has become a bigger part of our business. It takes up a lot more of our time, and we need to be a lot more focused. It's a lot more regulated. We, of course, get audited in all of the countries that we're licensed in. So it's become a larger part of our business, but it's something that I think is good for economy. It's good for reputation. The aim of all this, of course, is to reduce money laundering and the misuse of money and hit tax evasion, for example. So it's all in a very positive spirit, but we all have to adapt to that. And then, of course, we have information exchange, which has become quite prevalent between governments. So intergovernmental, the world is becoming much more transparent in terms of who owns assets, where assets are moving, where the people that own the assets live and are resident. So all this information is becoming much more available to governments. So our challenge is, of course, to be compliant to that and to adapt to it. But also our challenge is to preserve our clients' needs for confidentiality, which often revolves around their personal security. So our clients don't necessarily want this information to be in the public domain. Mm-hmm. So we have to find the right balance, and that's part of how we advise our clients. It's part of the holistic planning that we integrate into what we do.
Well, you deal with wealthy families. What does success mean for them? How are they aligning their wealth with purpose?
I think historically, and in particular in the Middle East, wealth has always sat with the person that's created the wealth. Okay? And it's been a very closed circle of people that understood how the business might work, where assets are held, and family governance hasn't really been in place. This has changed significantly in the past 5 years. Probably thanks to pressure from the younger generations that want to be more involved, that are perhaps internationally educated, and want to better understand the family assets and the family dynamics. So I think a big part of what families consider as a success now is having proper governance in place to allow the management of these assets to continue to the next generation and not for it to be a surprise for everyone. So that's part of a successful planning that I think families have come to recognize. Families are also very much involved in philanthropy. I think that's very successful. So usually or sometimes a part of the assets are now managed for philanthropic purposes, and that we integrate into the planning. On a very basic level, family harmony. I think fundamentally what we do is that we try and ensure that there's family harmony during the succession period, because this is a very delicate succession period. It's a period that's fraught with emotion. So we want to anticipate risks of things going wrong within the family so that the family unity and harmony is preserved. So that is success, It's not just about wealth, it's also about family harmony. So these are some of the things I can think of.
Well, Sean, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you here and having this conversation. And we thank you, the viewers, and we will certainly tune in again very soon.